Ladies and gentlemen, it's been said before, but I think it needs to be said again. Just welcome to this little modest pile in the country. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm just gobsmacked really by the setting here, and you know, the way this has been organised by Emma and Dan, and although Emma's given Dan all the credit at present, and Dan needs to take it because it may not last, but the logistics of getting everything here and everybody here is great. And the fact that all of you've turned up here, I think, is a testament to them because you've come to celebrate their very special day. There's a lot of discussion about where this wedding should be, I believe. And they decided eventually to have it in France because it would cause fewer language difficulties than having it in Bolton. There was also a slight problem of navigation that they felt might come about this because they were concerned about all these northerners coming down the M6 and M5 with satellites looking for a place called Bath, but spelled with an R. We're particularly, Dawn and I, are pleased to have this celebration with Jennifer and Nigel, Dan's parents. We've got to know a little bit better lately, and we look forward to cementing that. We're very pleased to be now a part of the Dando family, and if we can survive the hangovers, then we just to go on. The format, just my third go at this, and is that you have the welcome, which we've just done, and then I can insult Dan. Then I can have a payback situation with Emma for all the years, and then there's words of wisdom about married life. God help me. I mean, I could start off talking about son-in-laws, and as a golfer, not a very good golfer, but there's an expression in golf about a son-in-law, which is something that you didn't quite intend, which in Dan's case certainly wouldn't be true, because he's been a welcome guest in our house for the past at least 8 years, and he's larger than life and full of life fellow we've loved to have. I was also very taken early on in the relationship. We all of the family went to Forteventura for a big birthday that I had. I think it was my 50th, but my memory's gone. But the first day after a typical night out of lots of beer and lots of wine, Dan was up at 8 o'clock in the morning down the local supermarket, which is half a mile walk away, came back an hour later armed with croissants and beer and bread.
I'm surprised he hasn't eaten.
Well, the second day, the same thing happened. Down he went. An hour later, he came back. Third day, and I said to Emma, "I'm really impressed with this." She said, "You realise why he's doing that?" I said, "Why?" He said, "There's a McDonald's next to the." But when I first met him, I thought, this charismatic, larger-than-life, extremely active young man, he needs a woman who will just follow him and give him his head and be what used to be a very traditional, submissive northern wife. But what do I know? He's chosen Emma. He did have a while to mull over this, because I believe about 8 years ago, he put her on probation for 10 years and said, if after 10 years things are going okay, we'll get married. Well, she's got 2 years off for good service. So she's obviously done something right. Emma. Right. Emma was born with her eyes wide open, literally. Right from coming out of the womb, there she was, looking and taking everything in, and was critical of what was going on. And she was the youngest of our 3 girls, but she certainly wasn't settling for being bottom of the pecking order. Patience was never a particular strong point. When she started school, during the first week, she was taken by this ritual that they had when it was somebody's birthday. The head teacher would say, anybody's birthday today, and they would put their hand up and they'd come out the front, they would sing happy birthday, and they would give them presents, and that we made a real fuss of. And Emma thought, oh gosh, I'll have some of this, this looks good. So about the 3rd week, the head teacher said, anybody's birthday, and nobody put their hand up, so out she went, and she got all the celebration and all the goodies and everything. This was September, and Emma's birthday's in February. But she did, at age 6, find religion. And we found this out. We used to always have a family meal in the evening, and we'd sit down and they would each say what they'd been doing at school each day, and Emma would occasionally have a rant about some perceived injustice that had come across her. And she was, this particular day, she set off, she said, that Jessica McKilveen, she said, she thinks she's God. And she's not, because Uncle Jeff is. Because because Uncle Jeff told me. Now, as far as Uncle Jeff is my oldest friend from school, which makes him 50-odd as well. And as far as I know, he's never refuted the statement. I think the scales have fallen off Emma's eyes, but Jeff says he's available for absolution later on if anybody's interested. Emma's boyfriends reflect a little bit. It's all right, I have edited some of this. Reflected a little bit of Dan, really, the sort of living a little bit on the edge, and she was attracted to the little bit of the naughty boy. And it's carried on, but not all of them have done particularly well, because her first boyfriend, we found out a couple of weeks ago, was pushing trolleys at a supermarket. He was part of Peter Kay's car share, of course. It's in the cast of Car Share, and the one that had the samurai sword down his trousers will not say too much about. But there is someone here who may be able to spill the beans on that, because amongst that gang was a fellow called George Trippier who has made a special trip to come from Thailand to be here today. A thing that Dan may have come across is that Emma is very concerned with size. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. This comes about when we were moving house about 15 years ago, and we were moving to a slightly smaller house, a 4-bedroom apart from a 6-bedroom, and they were pushing up for whose bedroom was which. And Kate, our eldest, was at university, so she didn't come into the equation. But Holly, the second one, got the choice of the 2 double bedrooms that were left, which Emma thought was terribly unfair, and was long and hard and campaigned long and hard about this, and went on and on and on and on about it. And eventually I got out a tape measure and measured this bedroom, and I measured it breadth and I said, Emma, it's the same length as the one Holly's got, and it's only 4 centimeters less in width. I said, it's nothing. Nothing, she said? Nothing? If I was 4 centimeters smaller, I'd be a dwarf. And you say it's nothing. Throughout growing up, when Emma saw things against her, she would look around and see what she saw as a geriatric father, and being the third in the family, she called herself the mistake. I know I was the mistake. And this went on all the way through. Well, all I can say, darling, is that when we look at how well you've done, how well you worked at school, how well you did at university, how well you've done in your job, your choice of friends, and particularly now your choice of husband, and the joy and pleasure you've given to us. If you were a mistake, you were the best we've ever made. I've just got one little bit to say, which was the words of wisdom, that's been the words of wisdom about marriage and women, and being the father of 3 and a husband. What would I know about it? But I refer back to the song that somebody tried to murder earlier this afternoon, Suzanne, because a little while ago, in London, when we met with Jennifer and Nigel, Dan was saying, he said, I can never see Emma and I splitting up. I can never see us splitting up. And I thought, I think that's true, because I look at them and the way that they know each other so well now. They allow each other's faults and strengths and celebrate them and laugh at them, but without rancor. They don't hold grudges. They just get on so well. They have, I think, truly touched each other's perfect bodies, with maybe a bit of poetic license for Dan. They've touched each other's perfect bodies with their minds. And I think that's a magnificent formula for a happy married life. And raise your glasses, please, everyone, to the bride and groom, Emma and Dan. Okay. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Stan.
Thanks. All right.
That's fantastic.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you very
Good.
much.
Good. Good.
Right, I'm going to try not to cry. I'm going to try not to shake. I'm going to be a man. Well, Emma's choking. Can someone do the Heimlich maneuver? Maneuver? Don't. Right, no, seriously.
Men of what? I'll give it to her.
Don't eat the sugar cubes. Well, what just happened there is fairly good example, Stan,
Yes.
of what your daughter is capable of. And I'm very proud to now be able to call that your daughter my wife. And on behalf of my wife and myself, seriously, a massive thank you to all of you for making a huge effort to come here. The reason why I started crying earlier, and I'm almost going again,
Oh, you got this, Dano. You got it, boy.
I've got it. Is because watching all of you, first and foremost, coming down the stairs was unbelievably overwhelming. You realise all of your favourite people in the whole world, in one place, at the same time, hasn't ever happened, won't ever happen again, and it's absolutely amazing. So thank you all.
Who's your favourite, though, Dano?
Me next, my favourite.
Yes.
Quite a minute, quite. Honestly, as you can see, I'm unbelievably happy. I'm not crying because I'm sad. You know, it's not the end of my life. It's the beginning of the rest of my life. But seriously, a lot of you have made a huge effort. I look around. We've got Hazy, all the way from Chicago. Yeah. Chicago, lads.
Hazy.
Kenyan policeman. Bridie, all the way from LA. Via Swindon. Hero, Japan. Thanks, mate.
Only fucking just.
George, all the way from Thailand. Working in Thailand. But seriously, thank you very much. There are also some people that haven't been able to make it tonight. Emma's family is very close family friends, basically auntie and uncle. Grant and Sandy aren't here today because they're not here, but it's very sad for the family that they're not here today. Our grandparents, my grandparents in Somerset as well. They're not dead, they just don't like the French.
Fucking bastard!
So, you know, to absent friends. Now, on to the bridesmaids. The beautiful bridesmaids, the beautiful flower girls. Where are you all? Genuinely, thank you so much. Not just because of all the help you've given us putting this together, but honestly, you've made Emma unbelievably happy over the last few months. You've reduced it to tears on 2 occasions. I've got a 15-minute iPad video of it. You're incredibly generous, and that makes me very, very happy that Emma's got girls like that in her life. And that All Saints thing that just happened there was not just the bridesmaids and the flower girls, but the book club girls. And you're a fantastic group. So thank you very much. Now, my ushers, Tom, thank you for our quiet, sociable, rambling weekend in Scotland. I think it was the best rambling weekend Cyril Sneer could have ever have asked for. I realised it was going to be a quiet one. We're going up the M90 motorway, just coming out of Edinburgh Airport. We've hired two Mercedes vans, driving along the M90. There's a bit of traffic, 50 miles an hour probably, and then suddenly it's like, what the fuck is that? Meatneck is on the top of the van, on the M90, surfing on top of the van, going, come on! Come on! After that, it was all very quiet. But as Macca's photos showed, I was literally in hysterics or smiling, and every single one of them, I was unbelievably happy. It was the best weekend of my life. Although I think it's the second best weekend of my life. But I think the laughter might have had something to do with what you put in those brownies, Thomas. not only do you look like the Vicar of Dibley, but you did a fantastic job today. So thank you very much. Now, if I could ask you to be outstanding, not with your wine glasses. On your tables, you've got some toasting tipple. Don't drink all of it. But if you could all stand up and raise a toast to our bridesmaids, flower girls, ushers, best men, Vicar of Dibley. Not yet, not yet. There's more toasts. Don't drink all of it in one go. There's more toasts.
Let me know, John.
Not all of it, son!
Thank you, Kate, for making the toasting tipple. There's a wasp. It's gone right up in her fanny. Now, the parents, Mum and Dad Dando. I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise for the torture I put you through. From the age of, I think, 1 day to, I think actually only about 11, when you shipped me off to that state boarding school, Sexies, you just got rid of the problem. I apologise from the 1 day to 11 bit. I apologise that the Paragon School tried to expel me. I apologise, Dad, that you had to go into Mr. Martin's office on your knees and beg him not to expel me. I was charging, Sian's looking at me, she knows what happened. I think I was charging the year 5s £1 a go to look at my porno mag.
Hang on! £2 a go!
And they weren't particularly happy about it at the school, and they tried to get rid of me.
Yeah, fines are loving it.
Mum, Dad, all I can say is you should not leave magazines like that lying around the house. You really shouldn't. So I know I gave you little optimism, but I think one of the first times I realised that you were proud of me was when I brought Emma home.
Oh.
And I remember I can't quite remember the whole facts, but we'd had quite a boozy day, Mum, Dad, Emma and I as it always is with Mum and Dad. And I basically just dropped her. We'd been in the pub and I dropped her off at the train station because I was staying in Bath and she was going back to London. Anyway, I walked back and having been all really happy and jovial, Mum and Dad would look at me walking down the street and they just appeared really, really, really angry. And I sat down and I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Daniel, sit down, properly, please. I'd like to say something. If you don't marry that girl, we'll be very, very fucking disappointed." Nigel Fromage. Now, Stan, Dawn, I think, or I hope you also approved. Even if I do slightly go to McDonald's whenever I walk down to the supermarket in Fuerteventura. I knew a long time ago that I wanted to marry Emma. It took me a while to pluck up the courage and the finances to do it. But when I had eventually got the ring, I started basically freaking out about how I was actually going to ask Stan for Emma's hand in marriage. Anyway, Holly's wedding was coming up. I thought, well, you know, weddings, marriage, it's a sort of topic of conversation for the weekend, so I'll try and get my opportunity that weekend. And I kept on missing you, Stan. I kept on trying. I kept on missing you. And then between I think it was the start of the main course, Stan, Dawn, you ushered me. I said, come on. And I sat down between you, and you said, "Well, that's 2 gone. What about the 3rd?" and at that moment, I went for it. And
Shut up, you said then.
well, yeah, why not? So thank you very much. But on a serious note, Kate, Holly, Stan, Dawn, you welcome into your family from day one. You're an incredible group of people. You're incredibly welcoming. Stan, I know that even you've gritted your teeth trying to make me gluten-free gravy. I wasn't gluten-free, I was just a fat kid with IBS. You still did it, and you smiled. And Dawn, if Emma turns out half of the woman you are, you're incredibly generous, You're incredibly thoughtful. I'll be on to an absolute win. So thank you very much. So once again, can I ask you please to be outstanding for our parents, Stan, Dawn, Nigel, Jennifer.
See you. Done really well, mate.
God, what did people do before iPhones? Now then, Emma, Suzanne, Dando. I know what most of you have been thinking today, and probably for the most 9 years. Bernsey, what was it? What did you say?
For the boys.
Oh, look at the state of Bernsey. I think Bernsey said something along the lines of, "What are you doing with him?" But Emma, what you don't know is every time over the last 9 years I've introduced you to people that you don't know, that I know, and I've introduced you as my girlfriend, it's made me smug and it's made me incredibly proud, and I've loved the look of amusement of people's faces. So thank you.
And then they stop being your friends.
Yeah, and then they stopped being my friends, and now they're basically all your friends, and I haven't got any friends anymore. I remember vividly the first time I saw Emma. I'd just come out of a lecture at Liverpool University, and I saw Sophie, and I saw this girl next to Sophie, and I was like, she's all right. She's quite fit. And I thought, well, I'm not going to speak, so I haven't got great chat, but I really do need to strike now. I'm down to 82 kilos. If it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen around about now. So I basically said to Sophie, I was like, Soph, right, listen, that girl, who was it? I was like, it was just a girl from my course. I was like, who's she? What's her name? She got a girl from my boyfriend. I was like, yeah, I think she's got some boyfriend. It was a Turkish bloke. I was like, right, does he go to uni? No, he works in the chicken factory. So it's fine. I said, right, so what you need to do is you need to talk about Dan Dando for the next 6 weeks. Every time you say, oh, yeah, Dan Dando. Oh, yeah, Dan Dando. And my mate Dan Dando. So when we see one another in 6 weeks' time, she's going to be like, oh, you're Dan! I know so much about you. And I thought, it's going to go brilliantly. Anyway, that time happened about 6 weeks later. Vodka Revs, Monday night.
Oh, yeah.
Big Don at the bar buying everyone a drink. £1 a drink. And I thought the night had gone swimmingly well. I think I went up to you and said, you are more difficult to find on Facebook than Lindsay Lohan. I actually met Lindsay Lohan a couple of years ago, and I told her that. She let me have a photo. True story. And I thought it had gone really, really well. And little did I know that later on that night, I think I got a taxi home with Kaz and Emma. And I think when I got out of that taxi, I think one of you said to one another, you said to Kaz, who even was that dick? So Soph, you completely failed. She still didn't know who I was. We've got to find a bit. Anyway, the first time I went back to Bolton, I was obviously quite apprehensive. This southern boy going to Bolton. I heard about Bolton. Peter Kay, Paddy McGuinness. It was raining. It was raining. And Emma said, right, I'm going to take you to the Flag. I was like, the Flag? What's the Flag? He's like, oh, it's just a local pub. We'll go to the Flag. This is a terrible accent. Yeah. Sorry. Right, we'll go to the Flag. We'll go get a couple of pints. Anyway, went into the Flag, and Emma started introducing me to her mates. Oh, this is Dan's. Like, hi, how you doing? Hi. Dan, hi. I was like, I'll be the guy. I'll go and buy a couple of drinks. Anyway, I go to the bar, get a couple, and they weren't £1 a pint, £1.30. And all I heard behind me was Forster. Where the fuck do you find him? Buckingham fucking Palace. It's true. Anyway, since then, we have had our ups and downs. Well, my weight's had its ups and downs. I got a text message about 7 weeks ago. Well, actually, it's 7 weeks ago today that I received this text message. I'll read it out. Please, I'm spending a lot of money and time on treatments to look nice for our wedding, and you're eating 31 chicken wings on the day that you're meant to be getting serious with your diet. Angry emoji. Was it 37? Eddie had 37. I only had 31. But Emma, you are your own worst enemy because you're incredibly generous, and even though you complain about my weight, every single time we're having dinner, you're the person that's offering up your last morsel of food to me. Even though you want to finish it yourself, you feel sorry. I haven't had enough. And not only are you incredibly generous and thoughtful like your mother, but you're... That was well timed. But you're also the most beautiful, caring, loyal person I know.
Hey!
You're energetic and passionate. You made me want to be a better, kinder person. And I'm unbelievably proud to be able to call you my wife.
Come on! Well not done,
Emma, it's been an absolute dream so far.
Got a wheel of brick.
The best moments are the ones that I spend with you. And I feel so fortunate to be able to spend the rest of my life with you. So if everyone can be outstanding, I'd like to raise a toast to my beautiful wife, Emma.
Well done, Dan. That was fucking awesome. Did a fucking good job, mate. Great job, great job.
Fucking mad.
Amazing, mate.
Oh,
You tried to drink
that's finished. That was good. That was good timing.
So you've heard the stories of how we met, and you've heard lots of stories from me of the years. Where should I start?
So close as that.
Over the years when I take the mickey out of Dan, so I thought today would be a nice day to actually say some nice words.
Emma, fuck that!
He's very rare. He's very rare. So Dan, you've always encouraged me to do things since we met, whether it was to be your girlfriend, after spotting me with Brenner all those years ago, to encourage me to go travelling or moving to London. You've always challenged me.
You might be pressing the button.
And in doing so, you've given me a confidence I have in myself that was never there before. So thank you for that. If you were ever lacking in any confidence yourself, then I'd hope I'd be able to return the favour. But I don't think there'd be any danger of that. Thank you for so many amazing holidays, which you plan with military precision. You always include all the things I like the wine tasting and the eating. Also things that I would never, ever choose to do. The skiing or the cable car at Table Mountain. But thank you for always pushing me out of my comfort zone. It makes those memories all more special. Thank you for this wedding. And my dad touched on it earlier. Dan planned this wedding. I mean, I bought a dress and the picked flowers. I just turned up like you guys, and it was all a nice surprise. So, yeah, you've worked so hard to make this a perfect day, and you've absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to quite miss Groomzilla, but I don't think Joe will. Our wedding planner's like, no.
The most questions to have.
Aside from the big things, you do so much for me every single day. From doing our washing, ironing, dry cleaning, post office drop-offs, and general husband duties. I actually don't know how to function without you, and I talk about it all the time. I couldn't get through life, so thank you. But mostly, I want to thank you for making me laugh every day. We have had so much fun over the years. The last 9 years. I said to you a few weeks ago that when we met at the age of 20, we had a conversation about us being too young. And I wished at the time that we'd met later in life when we were in a better position to settle down. But looking back, I'm so happy that we got time together to grow up together. I've loved every single minute, and I feel so lucky that we've got going into married life, having experienced so many amazing things together already. I'm so excited for our lives together. So thank you for asking me to spend my
Oh, she's not finished.
No, I'm finished.
Oh, you're finished.
That's it. Sorry, we're short and sweet.
Well, Emma, the two speeches before were pretty difficult to follow, so thanks for dropping that one in last minute. All right. All right, Burnsy show. All right, guys. So, bonjour. Now, wouldn't that be something? Learning French for a best man speech. That's not me, I'm not going to do that. But if I were Daniel, however, I could have narrated my entire speech in French, probably to a room full of French people. They'd be laughing, cheering, applauding, whilst he'd never actually speak a single sentence of French. The man is gifted. He has the most incredible talent you've ever seen. The gift of the gab, he well and truly has. Daniel, dangerously confident Dando. He's my best mate. What a human being you are, Daniel. I must say, you have absolutely earned the title Plando for this. This is truly remarkable. Okay, so, like a lot of wedding speeches, I must give some thanks to a few people. Jennifer and Nigel, for raising such a fantastic son. 1 out of 2 isn't bad, you know? Stan and Dawn, for also raising such a beautiful, kind, loyal, generous, the list goes on, strong-minded, I said beautiful daughter. And my final thank you must go to you, Daniel, for just being you, for living your life just the way that you have, which, to be fair, has made this speech very easy. And also, I must give you an extra special thanks for giving me such a heartfelt and thoughtful best man speech for my wedding day. Although I was a little surprised that you thought that would mean I would do the same for you. I genuinely thought you knew me better than that, Dan. So, to begin, I must go back as far as I can, back to the beginning, to the origin, to the seed, Nigel Dando. The stuff legends are made of. He is a true gentleman. There he is! Joe, Nigel! So, my first question to Nigel was an obvious one.
Yeah, you lost out.
All right, Bernsey, that's enough, mate. First question. What was Daniel like as a child? Simple question, right? Nigel, he looked at me, he looked at his shoes, he looked at the sky, and then he looked me straight in the eye and said, well, he was a fucking nightmare. Naughty with a capital N. Now, this opinion was further reinforced when Nigel told me that he recently bumped into Daniel's old primary school teacher, Mrs. Gordon Ingram.
No way.
She was a sweet old lady. And Nigel, being the polite man that he is, he asked her a few questions, you know? He probably commented on the weather, and then there was this awkward silence, bit of a pause. And Mrs. Gordon Ingram reluctantly asked, "So, how's Daniel?" A loaded question. "Well, he's actually doing quite well." "I know, who'd have thought it?" "He's about to get married to a beautiful Bolton girl. And he works in the city advising people what to do with their fortunes." Now, Mrs. Gordon Ingram was a bit taken back when she heard this. And then she simply said, "Oh, well, that's brilliant. I very much thought he would have been in prison by now." True story. So, this got me to thinking, why isn't Daniel in prison? He's had some very close shaves with the law. His criminal career could have been illustrious. He could have been one of the greats. But fortunately, he turned it all around. He came good, as Nigel put it. Having said that, the following is what his criminal autobiography could have looked like. All right, so, like the best criminal masterminds, Daniel started young. By the time he was 8 years old, he had already ploughed through 8 au pairs. Not like that. Lucia, bless her. She used to physically lock Daniel in the garage to get away from him. All right, Lucia was last seen recovering in a nunnery off the Turkish coast, uttering something about an exorcism. Then there was lovely Ebru. All right, this one's quite bad. So Ebru duly handed in her notice when Daniel added blackmail to his record. He gave her 2 very simple choices. This is an 8-year-old boy, by the way. Show me your tits, or I'm going to tell my mum you've been giving me cigarettes. Oh dear. Oh, yeah, a slightly psychopathic mentality, I think we'd all agree. So, next up, a few years later, Daniel was the ripe age of 11 years old. He pushed both his parents to breaking point. I mean, imagine him. Young, hormonal, funny urges he couldn't explain. He's got a taste for blackmail, but he's tired of that. He wants to try something else, something new. Something that's going to put him on the map. Like many of these stories, it starts with something innocent. In this specific case, it was a school trip to the Tower of London. Daniel did mention this slightly before. So Daniel had managed to acquire a softcore porn magazine from an alleged relative. He had purposely packed this softcore porn magazine to take with him on this trip as he saw an opportunity. An opportunity to add extortion to his record. Daniel John Fields Dando had one motive on this trip. He wanted to exploit his friend's lust for boobs. Now, these confused, innocent young boys thought they were getting a good deal. The rules were simple. 5 minutes on the back of the bus with the magazine for £1.
That's a pretty good deal.
Now you're probably thinking, that is a pretty good deal, right? I mean, seriously, that poor magazine. Just getting passed around. All right, so little did they know that this was just the beginning. As now they're in Daniel's pocket. And once you're in Daniel's pocket, you're never getting out. So the next day, Daniel brought in the very same magazine, albeit slightly more brittle than the day before. But this day, the rules had changed. It was now £2 per session, and if you refused to pay, Daniel threatened to tell the user's parents. Now, you'll have to forgive him. Daniel was only 11, so this slightly hollow threat backfired on him, as his friends, or customer base, as he now referred to them, well, they just decided to tell their parents about Daniel's porno mag extortion racket. And he got well and truly bollocked by Mrs. Trimby. Yeah, she's a hard-ass mistress with bigger bollocks than Sambo. Good Sambo! So, due to Daniel's adventures, Nigel and Jennifer spent a lot of time in Mrs. Trimby's office, on their knees, begging for forgiveness, obviously. So, Daniel made it through prior, but Nigel and Jennifer thought it probably best he go to a few years at boarding school now. A wise move. Yes. So, Nigel tells me Sexy's, his secondary school, sorted him out. And the mischievous menace was well and truly left behind. Sorry, Nigel, but that's just not true. So, the next time I saw Daniel was at my late grandpa's summer barbecue. I remember it well. I was 17, Daniel 16. Even then, he walked into a room of complete strangers with a huge grin on his face. Grin. And I remember thinking, my God, he's got the most flared nostrils I've ever seen in my life. So, looking back on it, I decided to do some research into this condition. So this is taken from a medical journal I found online, so it's all true, I promise. Nasal flaring is a sign that someone is expending increased effort to breathe or is having difficulty breathing. Now, I'm no doctor, but I would liken this to the respiratory problems that pugs suffer from. And we all know why they suffer from those respiratory problems. All right, Bernsey, enough. So the next passage read, although it often occurs as a function of normal breathing, flaring nostrils can, on occasion, be a sign of illness or a serious disorder. A serious disorder, Daniel. Now, speaking of disorders, I would be remiss had I not brought up Daniel's relationship with food. My, it's been a turbulent one, hasn't it, Daniel? Yo-yoing from this to that, snaring his poor bride at optimum weight, only to show your true colours in the years that followed. So this was first recognised by senior officials on Daniel's first day of rugby practice at Prior Park. Mr. Pruitt went down the line and asked each one of us what position we would be trying out for that season. I said flanker. Donnock said number 8. Thompson, second row. Mr. Pruitt was like, yeah. Dando was asked. He proudly said, winger. And Mr. Pruitt patted him on the shoulder and said, let's start up prop for now, mate. So, Daniel had settled in well in Bath, both with my year and his own. If I'm being completely honest with you, he'd gotten a bit too comfortable. Put it bluntly, he let himself go. Now, this all culminated at a music concert. Ironically enough, it was a Pavarotti concert. A man with an infamous lack of respect for his body. So picture this. Daniel was lying down enjoying Pavarotti. It's sunny. Everyone's having fun. It's Bath, so it's mainly hummus and quinoa everywhere. Dan's thrown together his own picnic, made up of mostly Pringles, pork pies, and of course, sausage rolls. Then just as Pavarotti hits a tremendous crescendo, Daniel gets a sharp pain in his chest. He's thinking, this can't be that. I'm only 18 stone. It can't be. I'm in the prime of my life. So he ignores it. Another pork pie goes down. The pain returns. Worse. This is serious. He needs some help. He alerts his friends, but they don't get it. The pain's still there. He makes the call. He needs medical attention. This is serious. But he can't be asked to get the bus to the hospital. So naturally, he calls the emergency services. They arrive. They're equally concerned. It can only be one thing. A heart attack. He's got his whole life to live. He's too young. All right, medic, shut up. Daniel, it's really important you tell me the truth. I need to know what you've taken. Have you taken any drugs? No. I promise I haven't had any drugs. I've only had a couple of beers and... Yes, Daniel, what else? What else? There's no time. You need to tell us. Okay, I've had... Daniel, what is it? All right, I've had 8 pork pies, 2 tubs of Pringles and 3 sausage rolls. The medical team take a step back. And they quickly realise this chubby little funster is indeed not having a heart attack, but is in actual fact experiencing an esophagus spasm as he has literally filled it with savoury goods. Anyone here who didn't know now knows Dando's love for meat-filled pastries. Specifically sausage rolls from that beloved northern chain. But I'm sorry to say, has seen a decline in sales this past year. Now I've got a quote from the FT here, dated January 2017. Shares in Greggs have fallen sharply over the bakery chain, suffered a slowdown in sales compared to last year. I thought they were pretty concrete, but... So now the important thing here is the date. That article was published shortly after Dando proposed to Emma, and Operation Wedshed began. Now look at him! Back to his former glory! Yeah! And Emma, you also look shredded. Well played. So, Dan's love for Greggs is real. So I decided to contact Greggs.
Yes!
You know, I'm in the industry.
Oh, yeah, you are.
So I sent them a letter to express how much Daniel loves their sausage rolls. I just remembered I don't have that letter on me. So it's just over here. 2 minutes. Here it is.
Here we go.
All right. So, this is actually from Greggs. Just going to unravel it. This is not plagiarized, okay? This is real.
That's awesome.
Megan Jeffries of their customer care team is a real woman. Dear Tom, thank you for contacting us at Greggs. As discussed, please find and enclosed an award for your mate Dan. We hope he'll enjoy it. We think he will. We've also added a gift card to the value of £5. Fucking Northerners. So after his wedding diet has ended, he can get a couple of sausage rolls on us. We hope you have an amazing day, and congratulations to Daniel and Emma.
That's such a fucking good job. That's such a fucking good job.
Oh no, there's loads more.
Oh shit.
Here's your certificate. Can we take a photograph here, please? Dan, don't forget your £5 gift card, mate.
That's my good job.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right.
Love that. Cheers.
Okay, so Dan, I have a couple more presents for you, okay? Guys, a couple more presents for you, Daniel. First is a little memento of a magical time we spent in Scotland on your stag do. Our dear friend Macca dutifully photographed every square inch of it, and I have not even a square inch. And I have an album, which is a culmination of all of Macca's hard work, and to be fair, our hard work. It's full of joy, laughter, some truly memorable images that have been permanently etched into my brain forever. There's even a photo that if you look really closely, you can find out why Dan is actually called Cyril Sneer. And Dan, this is quite a pathetic antler, but it is an antler from the hill that we went walking on for your mantelpiece at home. Thank you, mate. Thanks, mate.
That's awesome.
Sorry, there's still more.
That's really good.
I feel like maybe I should call it quits now.
Going out an award.
All right. For my next story, or maybe I should have. I wasn't sure if I should include it or not.
Do it.
But you seem like a nice crowd, so. So, what about Emma's hen do? I think the girls absolutely nailed it firstly, so that was great. But I heard of a game they played called Mr. and Mrs. Now, for any of you that aren't familiar with this is when the groom is filmed answering various questions about his bride. One being, what's the naughtiest thing Emma has ever done to you?
Oh.
What's the naughtiest thing Emma has ever done to Dando?
Yeah, God, Tom.
But this isn't about Emma, right? This isn't about Emma, this is about Daniel. So I thought long and hard until...
Do it, Dan. God, do it. Do it.
This is not about Emma, okay? Stop heckling, start listening. This isn't about Emma. Emma, I love you. I would never do that to you.
Keep it cool. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Keep it cool.
No, I know fully. But it did make me think, though, what's the worst thing Dan has ever done to Emma? Because this is about you, Daniel. So recently, I was thinking long and hard, what's Dan done? He's done some terrible things in his time. He really has. And then all of a sudden, he phoned me out of the blue and said, mate, you are never going to guess what I did yesterday. And I love it when he does that. So I'll try and set the scene, right? He's got a Skype call penciled in with his boss whilst Dan is working from home. So Dan puts his shirt on, then he puts his tie on, he combs his hair, and that's that. Not even a pair of pants. You know, the camera's on his head, that's fine. But the fact he's not wearing a pair of pants is a decision he may later regret. So he's chatting away, and then he feels what he believes to be an innocent fart, which we all do, but not like this. No. This was no innocent fart. This fart had vast consequences. Consequences being that Dan accidentally shat himself on the kitchen floor whilst Skyping his boss. No bother, it's laminate, right? It'll just clean it up. But the worst is actually yet to come. So, the next part of the story is Dan and Emma were in a very posh jewellery shop trying on wedding bands for this sacred of days.
Was it Nigel's shop?
When the assistant stands up to go get some other ring sizes, and Dando chooses this opportunity to lean over to Emma and whisper in her ear, "This morning, I shat on the kitchen floor." Giving her no time to react as the jewellery assistant returned to show the next set of rings. I mean, it's genius, really. Please never change, Dan. You provide me with so much entertainment. All right, this is it now, guys. I know I've been rabbiting on. My final gift to you all is a really special one. It shows you just how close Dan and Emma really are. They've been together for nearly 10 years now, and I have truly enjoyed watching them get closer and closer, showing each other more and more commitment, and ultimately turning themselves into a couple of people that could take on anything together. You are so obviously best friends. You make each other laugh. You'll probably make each other cry. But as long as you've got each other, you'll be fine. Now, Emma, I know we bicker a little bit, but I do see you as a little sister. So in the spirit of being an older brother, I'm going to help you embarrass the shit out of your new husband. Hopefully you'll all be familiar with a boudoir photo shoot. This is a beautiful way for brides to show their husbands just how much they love them by giving them this special private souvenir on the best day of their life. Is Simon Richards ready? So without further ado, I present to you the sexiest and most romantic thing any groom has ever done for their blushing bride. Hit the music. Turn it up, mate, turn it up. Everybody up, let's go. What? Daniel, I love you.